Here's a funny question for you. How much do you need to get rich? No, it's not one of those silly circular questions. But how much do you need to get started to get rich? There are numbers. There's a number of what is rich, and there's a number of how much you need to get started. And that's what we need to talk about today.
Moderately wealthy? Whee! I'm sort of rich!
You probably do have a number in mind where you look at someone and say, hey, that person's rich. But that's different than how much it takes to get started to get there. So, what's your number?
So tell me, Gordon, when does it all end, huh? How many yachts can you water ski behind? How much is enough?
Today we'll see what it takes to get started. What are the obstacles besides, well, the money one? And what are the practical steps that you can take to get started to get to your number? So, what is your number? Let's get started and find out. Hi, my name is James Callahan, and this is the Do-Over Show, focused on making up for lost time, learning from our mistakes, and trying to discover ways to do the things that people say are hard or impossible for people like you and me. And you know what's not impossible? Tapping the like button. And I really appreciate it because it really helps. Now, before we get to the important question of how much we need to get started to get to our number, let's figure out the number for what we need to be considered rich. And that number today in the United States is about $100,000 annually. You need to earn $100,000 each year for people to look at you and point and say, hey, you're rich. These numbers and what most of us think qualifies as rich are important as politicians debate everything from tax policy, stimulus money, or even raising the federal minimum wage from $7.25 to $15 per hour. By the way, at $15 per hour, that would mean you earn about $31,000, just a little over $31,000 a year, if you work 40 hours each week and work for 52 weeks of the year and never miss a day. But that's still just about half of the average median income in the United States, which is somewhere between $58,000 and $61,000. So you can see why most people, when they're asked, is $100,000 rich? They say, heck yes. The $100,000 number is from data gathered by YouGov. And they sampled 1,000 Americans. And they asked this question: how much money do you need to earn a year to be considered rich? And at $100,000, opinion tipped much more strongly towards rich at 56%, with only 1 in 3, about 34%, believing someone with an income this high would be neither rich nor poor. YouGov's numbers match up with other surveys that are taken, like from the Pew Research Center, which found that for a household of one, you need to earn between $78,000 and $110,000 a year to qualify as upper class. Now here's something interesting. Most people asked thought that they lived in the category of neither rich nor poor, which put them right around the average median income in the U.S. today, about $60,000, which is why most people think that being neither rich nor poor might actually be the new American dream. But to be fair, when talking about being rich, the $100,000 number isn't realistic. It's a number that sociologists say is from the underside. And most of those who were asked if $100,000 is rich weren't making or couldn't even imagine that they would ever make $100,000 a year. To most personal economists, the total assets number is much closer to $2.3 million, with an average annual income of $300,000. Yeah, that seems a little bit more like rich to me. How about you? Okay, so let's get to our real question. How much do we need to get started? And the answer is definitively that it depends. It depends on your number.
What's your number?
Sorry? Oh, we'd start you at 300 like everybody else. I mean, as a partner, I only pull in 600, and the bonus is...
No. Your number. The amount of money you would need to just walk away from it and live. See, I find that everybody has a number, and it's usually an exact number, so what is yours?
According to Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner at Berkshire Hathaway, the getting started number is right around $100,000. And there's that number again, $100,000. Why does it keep coming up? Well, it's called the law of large numbers. $100,000 is the critical mass we need. It's the principle upon which we can build our returns. Here's how it looks. 7% annually on $1,000 is just $70. On $10,000, it's $700. And on $100,000, it's $7,000. Which would do more to improve your financial situation? 70, 700, or $7,000? That's why it takes $100,000 to get started, to make a difference, and get closer to your number.
How can I be a millionaire and never pay taxes? First, get $1 million. Now.
Charlie said the first $100,000 is a real but you gotta get started.
Charlie? Yeah, the hard part of the process for most people is the first $100,000. If you have a standing start at zero, getting together $100,000 is a long struggle for most people. And I would argue that the people who get there relatively quickly are helped if they're passionate about being rational, very eager and opportunistic, and steadily underspend their income grossly. I think those three factors are very helpful.
I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit, he said. $100,000 is enough to put to work and begin to earn a reasonable return that can accelerate your growth, your wealth, and not just the once-in-a-lifetime winning trade or lottery winner that most of us hope for. And sure, when Charlie said that, it was a few years ago, and Charlie's as old as dirt, so you have to factor that in. But the $100,000 number still makes a lot of sense today. But it will take investing, and not just saving, to begin to accumulate the kind of wealth, both the number to get started and the number that gets you closer to what it means to be rich. Because today, at the federal interest rate of just about zero, it would take forever if you just sat on your money. Or as some people say, today, cash is trash. Today's practically zero interest rates from the Federal Reserve means that you and I will get pennies, just pennies, on our money. And if inflation rises to 2, 3, or 4%, it actually means that sitting on cash with that super low interest rate means that we will actually be losing ground every single day we sit and do nothing. Put $10,000 in a high-yield savings account, safe and guaranteed by the FDIC at the current obscenely low rate of just 0.06%, and you'll earn $6 a year. That's $6 for just sitting on $10,000. Yep, you heard that right. That's considered high yield in 2021. And even if we compound at that rate over 10 years on $10,000, we will make a glorious $60.16 in 10 years. Ouch. So here's an alternative. If you make, say, $50,000 a year and you can save $10,000 of that, or 20% of your gross pay, living on less than you make, saving that $10,000, and paying yourself first $833.33 a month, in just 10 years, you'll have your $100,000 to get started. Hey, are there other ways, maybe a little faster ways that we could, accelerate this? 10 years seems like a long time to even get started. Well, here's a bit of advice Charlie Munger also reminds us of, and that is the desire to get rich fast can be pretty dangerous. His advice is based on the track record of so many of us who try to get rich quick, and as soon as we add that word quick to it, we end up failing even faster. So, can you save more by living on less? Or as Dave Ramsey says, if you want to live like no one else, you'll have to live like no one else. So if we avoid debt and adopt the most rigorous, financially minimalist approach to life, where does that get us? It gives us money to do something with instead of spending it. So here's the second essential part to reaching your goal: invest. And you go with good old Charlie Munger's blue chip dividend plays. The average return over the past 20 years has been 7 to 9% annually, which means $100,000 invested, even with no additional principal, would double in 10 years. $100,000 invested at 7% annual return nets you $96,000 in interest. And that's the do nothing, add nothing, nest egg approach. Smart, safe, not very exciting. What if you can do more than just save up $100,000? What if you can get started today with 25% of that? Well, if you can invest $25,000 a year for 10 years, your total at 7% average annual return will be almost $400,000. And if you can add just 2 more years to that and invest $25,000 a year for 12 years, you will have over $500,000. You will be a $500,000. Now, the next option is to add real estate to your plan. With a job, a W-2, putting 20% down, you can add an income stream to your long-term plan. I know, we'll all say, this is too difficult. Real estate is hard. We'd all much rather go to our Robinhood account and just push a button and buy a stock or an option and then hope. Okay, here's the clincher. Whichever path you choose, investment or real estate, the best advice out there is to stick to it and don't change. If we change anything, we accelerate our investment in that stream that we have chosen. I started a little experiment myself, saving $10 a day with the goal of reaching $1,000. And after a while, I got tired of just putting in $10 a day, and so I put in more. I ended up accelerating my goal and 3xing my money in less than the 100 days I planned. You can check out that video here. So, how much do you need to get started? And what's your number? Go ahead, dream, do the math, and then start planning. Hey, as the old timers say, plan your work and work your plan. And then improve the part of the plan you can change. The part that depends on you, not the market, not time, the thing you can change. And thanks for being part of the Do-Over Show. And please, invest in tapping the like button. It really helps. I'm so glad you found me and I found you. Thank you.